welcome back to Just One Question, which is hardly ever just one question. And in this case, I just can't wait to get to this conversation because Dr. Veronica Anderson is the CEO of a boutique consulting firm. And we talk to a lot of consultants, you say. So why is that so exciting? Well, it's called Rosewater Falls, Inc., which is kind of a cool name. But Dr. Veronica is a physician, an intuitive, and a coach. So we'll get to that in a second. First of all, Dr. Veronica, please tell us how you're doing.
Well, Nick, I am so happy to be here. And every day that I'm waking up on this side of the ground and get to live into my purpose is a fabulous day. So I am fabulous and very happy to be talking to you. I always believe when I'm meeting someone that I'm there because we're giving each other gifts. We may not know what those gifts are, but I'm giving you a gift, you're giving me a gift. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. Amen to that. All right. So already in the introduction and in our brief chat before I pressed record, I got intrigued by our conversation, and just a couple of the hints along the way particularly got my brain just racing with questions. But let's start with that one word, intuitive. It's not many professionals, not many doctors, not many CEOs that say I'm an intuitive. So tell us, what does that mean? And just why the heck are you owning that word in your introduction?
I'm owning it because it is who I am. And the people who are going to be listening to it are going to be like, well, how do I own who I am too? And you have these intuitive sides to it. So let's just talk about a little what intuitive means, because we all have this sixth sense, this energy. We use these terms. We don't know exactly what it is, but when we got on the call today, for some reason, even before we got on the call, when you got the email and heard about me, you said, I like her, I'm going to have her.
Amen.
Even though you told them what you didn't like, you said, I don't like this, but she's interesting, I'm going to have her. The energy was there. And that was your intuition speaking to you. And if you look at great speakers and great leaders, visionary leaders, they trust their intuition.
Mm.
Now, people say, well, how do you do that? Well, first, you got to own that it's there and agree that it is super important,
Hmm.
and then have a strategy to use it. We all have it. It is a muscle, and your muscle is likely weak. And if you see these people who are visionaries and leaders and CEOs who really can just in the nanosecond make a decision, go with it, and be confident with it, those are people who have learned how to access and use their intuition. Now, the trick of intuition is you have to do it without any physical evidence of what's going on, because it really is like Steve Jobs said, you only can connect the dots going backwards. It's
Hmm.
a quantum physics principle. It's out there, it is real. We're not going to get into the definition and the story behind how is this real or not real, but for somebody who's a speaker, I explained to you in the beginning when we were talking behind the scenes, for speaking, when I go out and speak, I have an outline of what I'm going to say. I read the moment of what the people in that audience need. And I'm not doing that by asking them. I'm doing it because I can assess the energy in the moment and be able to know the right words to say for the people who happen to be there. Not research, that's not left brain, that's not personality. There's something else that, I'm a Colby certified consultant, which is conation or the doing part of the brain. We're not talking about that. We're talking about that accessing that sixth sense. We all talk about this thing called energy, but then when we know it, when we see it and we feel it every day, how can you learn to use that on purpose? So whenever somebody's working with me, my goal is for them to be so confident in themselves that they understand their intuition is extraordinarily accurate and how to use it in the moment. And so it's really part of them. And so I also said, I say I'm an intuitive because it lands soft.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yes.
happened is what I really knew is what does it mean to be intuitive? It means I'm the Steph Curry and LeBron James of psychics.
Love it.
I just, no, we all are,
Yeah.
but we don't like to use that term because people think you're crazy when
Mm.
you do it. But we all have it. And I've seen in the medical world brilliant physicians, and it wasn't just that they were book smart. In the moment, they knew what was going on and what to tell the person to do. I'm a surgeon. I was an eye surgeon. When I'm in the operating room, I got to be able to assess everything that's going on in there and keep everything under control. And that's not coming from your left brain. You might know where, if you know somebody else who's, have friends who are thoracic surgeons operating on hearts, transplants, livers, all when they're in there, they have the academic knowledge, but with every person, they just intuitively know here's the right thing to do. That's how you have to operate if you're going to be a masterful speaker or a masterful leader. And there are ways to be able to develop that, exercise that. And so it becomes part of just who you are. So in every day, you don't have to think about it. First, you're going to have to consciously do it. It's like driving. You read the book, you study it a little, but then you got to go out there and get in the car. Somebody's going to be teaching you while you're in the car. And then it's like, bye, you have your license, and now you can go by yourself. Same intuition. So it is one of the things that I just so much it's in my purpose to help people harness that. And the three areas you talked about neuroscience, my background, I have this investigative part of me. Couldn't be a doctor if I wasn't. I teach people, okay, imprinting, there's stuff going into your subconscious mind. People say it starts from 0 to 7. No, it started before you were born. Believe me, you were in the womb getting information from the outside world before you even hear. There's imprinting. And then there's your instinct, which is part of your brain. That third part that we rarely talk about is called conation, which is something the Colby Index measures your conation, how you do, how you take action when you're striving. And then there's intuition, which is your sixth sense. And when I'm helping people with understand who they are with the sixth sense, I like to use the tool called human design so that they can actually have something to look at and understand and just know this is how I flow and this is who I am. And so they have a strategy to practice, which will feel very natural when they do it, so that when they're walking around, they're really being who they are. We all want to be authentic. And now the big companies like McKinsey are saying you need to be a spiritually aware leader. Well, what does that look like? Nobody knows what that looks like. Okay, I can tell you what that looks like, but really what I'm going to do when we coach is I'm going to ask you questions so you can and show you pieces of you, mirror back pieces of you so that you can determine here's what I really look like and here's how I'm going to show up in the world confidently, not based on what anybody else says. So that CEO that's told, we'll make you CEO if you get rid of this thing. Maybe you don't need to get rid of that thing. Maybe that's your superpower.
Right. Maybe you should double down on that one. Yeah.
Double down on that, and somebody else is going to notice you and pick you up to be a CEO for something bigger and better. But you got to trust the universe and your intuition to be able to do that when in the face of, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. And I've worked so hard to be the CEO of this. You have to intuitively know and trust that the right decision is no, I'm not getting rid of that. That's my superpower. Now, I'm not talking to people who are jerks and treat people poorly. I just want to make that really clear
Thank you.
because
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
make that clear.
Good.
Everybody deserves respect on all levels, and they're a human being. Everybody deserves it. Human to human, every human being deserves to be respected. But first, they have to respect themselves. And if you don't respect yourself, and nobody else going to do that. So when you learn how to harness your intuition and claim it, that's why I tell people I'm an intuitive because I respect these abilities highly, so I'm going to talk about it and say that's who I am. Now, if you don't like it, bye. That's all I can say to you. Sorry,
Awesome.
but I'm going to keep being who I am because there's somebody out there, Nick, that is going to listen to this and they needed to hear this message today. They did. And so that is the purpose everybody needs to walk into. What is my purpose? Who needs me? What gifts have I given to other people? I'm not trying to get something, I'm giving. And I know that in return, what goes around comes around. What you reap, so it's a universal law. So if I keep giving based on my purpose, everything's going to work out.
Fantastic. And I can't resist one follow-up question. I just can't, because it's fascinating to me that you're a physician and an intuitive. That combination is so rare, or at least in the way people talk about themselves, it's rare. There's maybe some intuition going on that they don't acknowledge, but the whole training of a physician, it seems to me, is set up to drum that out of you. And you have to memorize vast amounts of medical data and all the bones and the muscles and whatnot in the body. And it's a incredibly left brain activity, right? Is it left brain? I can never remember which is it's left or right. Anyway, yeah, how did you not have that drummed out of you in the course of your training, and how did you end up, intuitive and proud about it and vocal about it?
Well, this is going to be a very interesting question or answer to that question.
Okay.
Like I went into the physician and people who are looking and know who I am look at me and they see this brown woman here drum out of me that I'm this brown woman. It's the same with intuition. It's there. There's it's just there. So it's not as rare as you think in the medical community. It's the rare person that has the courage to say that that's who they are and what's going on because they're scared of what other people think. They're scared of what their colleagues think. I was blessed to have a coach that said to me, "Oh my God, you have this gift that you can help a lot of people." And it's not a doctor that said that to me, somebody else that realized you have this gift. Because I started out as what's called a medical intuitive. I could tell what was going on with people without even meeting them or seeing anything. Okay. And I would have answers come to me and um, what to do to get results, to get them towards the area of healing, which were not take pharmaceuticals or get a surgery or something like that, that would help people. And I realized that. And so once I realized I was helping people, there's no turning back. It's a reinforcement because you're like, I'm doing something good.
Mm.
It's just it's scary. I've been scared in the beginning. I was super scared about it to the point where I had an injury because I didn't want to talk about it. And then when I started to peep about it, all of a sudden the universe starts moving towards you because you're doing what you were meant to do. So somebody's going to listen to this and say, oh my God, that's me in a different way. And yes, I have a Princeton degree. I went to medical school. I graduated with honors. I was an eye surgeon. I was the chief resident. I did it all to the top. I graduated with, I'm telling you, I did it all to the top level. And now when I do meet my colleagues and things like that, the ones that are brave enough want to pull me inside and say, I have that happen too, and that's how I make all my diagnosis. Or I want to learn how to use that. Can you help me do that? People they want to whisper about it, but they understand that it really is a superpower and that they can use it and they have it. So yes, it's the conservative, traditional background, but even more that makes me speak about it. It's just like, yeah, I've been through depression and all that other type of stuff. Everybody talks about that now. I've burned out, felt like I wanted to die. I've been through all that too. And here I am on the other side to tell a different story. So, for anybody who's having that type of existential life crisis. Here I am. I am the CEO. And this information is coming to me and I don't know what to do with it. That's what I'm here. I'm here to talk to you, hold your hand, and allow you to elegantly flow into being who you are. Elegantly.
I love the word elegantly in that context, because sometimes it's messy. And sometimes it's not elegant. So if we can do all that and be elegant too, who wouldn't love that? Dr. Veronica Anderson, thank you for being on Just One Question. Go out there and rock them, because I can tell already you got lots to do and lots to offer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my great pleasure.